file. Welcome back to Boring Build Friday. We're once again working on our 2019 GMC Sierra Denali. Now, last time we got our roof skin off. This time it's time to get our used skin prepped and back on the truck. Let's get started. So we have to strip down our used roof skin. I went with the used roof skin because GM's pretty proud of theirs. So a used one was half the price, and I got a few extra parts that I'm gonna need. It actually came with the sunroof assembly. I had taken that out earlier. So we'll pull the third brake light out. Then we'll remove the trim. Just push in on the clips, pop them out of the molding. There's two little notches on each side where the clips align. And there's two little tabs, and you just push in on the edge of the tabs and they pop off. Then the centers, kind of open them up and they slide over the tabs that are welded onto the roof skin. Put them back on. You just line up the notches on the molding with the clip and snap them in. We are going to need this molding because ours was damaged on this side, so it made a used roof skin make even more sense. We'll put our clips back in so we don't lose them. Line up the notches, just snap them in. We'll pull our antenna off of here. Just one bolt in the center, and it pops out. Now we can start drilling our roof skin off. We can drill all the way through on the sides because we don't need the panel underneath. I'm not going to because it's extra work. But if I go too far, I don't care. So I'm just using a regular drill bit. So we're just going to go down both side rails, drill all these spot welds out. There's a lot of drilling in this project. Not Mustang amount of drilling, but there's a lot of drilling for a roof skin. Now we're going to go up the other side. And no, this isn't the right color. This is just regular white. The truck is pearl white. So we do have to paint it. There's our bolts that hold the bottom in. Pop those out of there. We're going to heat up our glue. Break that free. We got our OSHA approved cardboard prop rod holding it up. Should be safe. I'm wearing my safety glasses, kinda, so I should be good if it falls. Heat up the other side. Stick our scraper in there and keep a little tension on it until we get that magic pop. Let us know it's free. Jam the scraper in there just to keep it from sticking back together. There's a couple little tabs on the front. You just kind of put a bunch of adhesive up there and set it up there and hope it stays. That side was in, this side was already out. So now that those are free, we can cut out our foam. Got our welding wire in there. I put gloves on, and now you can see why I don't wear gloves. It's hard to hold on to the wire. I only put the gloves on for the wire's protection, of course. So now we'll cut the foam across the back. We need to drill the welds out across the front, but I can't really see them because of the amount of urethane that's on there. So we're just going to grind off the urethane. And since it's a GM, and they've only been painting cars for like, what, a century or more, the paint's going to peel right off the primer. You think they would have solved that problem by now. Oh well, maybe next year. At least it's only on the edges now. Not like the 80s and 90s, when every single blue, silver, white, black, heck, pretty much any color, had the paint peeling off in sheets. It was like the first failed vinyl wrap, turning every car into a dull gray primer color. So we'll grind everything off so that we can see our spot welds. And start drilling away. Now this one I'm using a flat tip drill bit because I do need the piece that's underneath. So we don't want to drill all the way through. But we do need to separate the two pieces in order to get everything apart. So now we got them drilled out. Pop them apart with our scraper. If we drilled in the right place, should come apart pretty easy. Once that's separated, we can get our wire in there. Get the foam across the back cut out. Use those gloves. Can't hold onto the wire. Get all the way to the edge. Let's get a shot of our cardboard prop rod that's safely holding our roof up. Now we can drill all the way across the back. We can just go back to our regular drill bit on these because we don't care if we drill all the way through. We're not using the piece that's underneath back here. Break all of our welds loose with our scraper. Any incorrect hammer. But if it does the job, is it really the incorrect hammer? According to the YouTube comments, it is. So no job is complete without the use of my favorite tool. So we're going to trim these outer edges off. Not because we need to, but because I need an excuse to use my favorite tool. We're just cutting along the outside edge. We'll use our panel cutting bit. We'll cut along the inside. I coyote swapped the air chisel to make this part go a little faster. And open it up. Toss it in the pile. Now we didn't just do that because I wanted to play with the air chisel. Taking that piece out of the way allows me to get a straighter shot at these spot welds on the side. Keeps me from damaging the roof skin, in case some of them weren't drilled perfectly. If I'm trying to work around that other piece, there's a chance I might buckle the roof. Takes a little extra time to take that piece out of the way, but it saves the bodywork gnomes from having to do extra work. We'll air chisel the other side off. Now the coyote swaps down on power. I'll have to LS swap it next time. Throw that in the pile. And we can separate the roof skin on this side. If I was trying to save those outer pieces, it'd take a little more time, but they're all going in the pile, so I don't care. And now our roof skin is free. Do our best not to wave it around too much because you will buckle them. For what they cost, they're not very sturdy. So now we're going to pull this front header out. Drill the spot welds out of the passenger side. Flip it over, drill the ones underneath. Sweep away all the metal shrapnel with my fingers in hopes that I can get a metal sliver. And we'll go over to the other side. Drill the inside because it's already upside down. This one we're going to leave the outer piece on. I'll explain why in just a second. So that's why I'm not drilling in the same spots that I did on the other side. This side's actually a little easier. No metal slivers yet. We'll keep trying. Pop our welds apart. We'll go over to the other side, pop these apart. We'll flip it over. Knock the welds off the driver's side. And looks like it's separated. Definitely. Get the last couple on the passenger side. There's always one that doesn't want to play nice. So I'm going to destroy it if I keep trying to chisel it out of there. So we're just going to twist it off. Since the other side is off, just wiggle it back and forth until it pops out of there. We'll slide this whole piece out. Now you need to strip down the header on the truck. So we'll pull the antenna wires off and the wiring harness, then the drain tube for the sunroof. We'll pull the drain tube off the driver's side. We're just going to remove the thing altogether. We're going to unbolt the curtain airbag. We're just going to take it off until about the center post, V-pillar, and just let it hang down. Should be far enough out of our way that we won't destroy it. And I'm not a fan of taking these things out, so we'll take out just enough to get it out of our way. So we're going to change this front brace here for the roof. If you notice, when I took it apart, on the other one I left the end piece on there. And that's because it's easier to just take out those 5 welds here and then 4 up here and slide it in. The other one will sit down on top. I can't do the other one the same way as this because this goes through the center of these 2 pieces. So it's actually wider and it would be very hard to maneuver it in there. So this way I'll be able to slide it into this side and then just set it down on the other side and weld it up. It's a couple more spot welds on that side, but it replaces this upper piece that's bent right here, the lower piece that's bent, and this little piece might be bent a little bit, but we're changing it anyway, so that's why I chose to leave this side on, because we're changing 100% of the damaged parts. Don't have to straighten anything. So to get the header out of the truck, we're going to grind our welds off. That way we don't go through to the piece underneath. Since we're throwing it out, we don't care if we destroy it with the die grinder. Pop those welds out, go over to the passenger side, grind those out of there. There's a few more on this side. So using a used roof skin is a little bit more work because I have to take it apart before I can use it. But overall, I ended up saving about $700. So now we'll drill out our welds from underneath. Because I'm lazy, I'm going to use the spot weld drill so I don't have to push up. Or is that lifting down? Of course there's 2 I can't get to with the spot weld drill, so I am going to have to actually push up on the drill. I guess it's shoulder day. Pop those welds loose, and our passenger side is free. I'll drill our spot welds out of the driver's side. We'll grind out the ones that are on the pillar. And instead of using the chisel to break it loose, we're just going to use a really big hammer. Spot weld breaker, I guess you'd call it. So now that our piece is off, we can start cleaning up our welds. We'll grind down any welds that are left over and get rid of any paint that might be in there. We want a nice clean weld. We're going to do the same thing on our new piece. Even where the roof skin goes. If we're going to have to do it eventually, might as well do it when it's out of the truck. Once we get all of our welds cleaned up, we'll put our weld through primer on there. So even though it took a little time to drill our roof apart, this header piece is actually 3 pieces that I would have had to buy all separately and then weld together. So the time I didn't spend doing all that probably makes up for the time I had to spend taking it all apart. So overall time, the roof skin probably didn't cost me any and saved me a bunch of money. Now we'll clean up the other ends that are on our truck. We use our patented masking system. These are available in my Amazon store with just about any product you buy. Comes free. Now we can set our header up there. There were a lot of comments asking why I didn't fix the roof, and I think everybody thought that little dent in the back was the only reason I was changing the skin. Well, if you didn't watch the first video, I could see why you might think that. But between the damage in the front, the damage in the back, and the damage underneath, yeah, I wasn't going to fix that. Maybe the guys that did that terrain the first time might have done it, but not me. So we'll clamp our header in there, and we'll weld it all up. Now we'll prep our roof skin, grind all of our welds off, get all the paint, primer, and glue out of our way. And there's some seam sealer across the edges. I'm going to scrape that out of there, because that's going to be a little hard to get to once it's in that little trough. A lot of prep time, but the more time you spend doing this, the better the welds are going to be. Not my favorite part. I need a weld prepping gnome. We'll grind all these down. Now we're going to grind off all the old glue, structural adhesive. We're not going to prime this part because the stuff we're using goes direct to metal. It acts as a primer as well. So we're just going to grind it off and leave the bare metal. On the edges, we'll put our weld through primer on. We'll grind the rest of our glue off of here. And we'll put our weld through primer on. Just the one side that's between the 2 panels. Even though we cleaned up both sides, it only goes between the bare metal mating surfaces. Because it's not like real primer. So now we can clean up our truck. Same way we did the roof skin. Except we use our patented masking system over here. Go across the top, same way. And we're ready to put our skin on. So we're going to put our adhesive on first. around there. Get a good coating. You don't have to worry about totally covering it or making it look pretty. We just have to make sure we have enough on there that it'll all get covered. And we're going to use an acid brush just to smooth it all out, make sure it coats everything. Make sure you get plenty in that bolt hole so that when you put the bolt in, that it never comes out. And hope that you're not the next guy. So after Picasso is done on that side, do the same thing on the other side. Smear it all over the place. We're going to mound up a little glue on these front tabs. We are going to put a thin coating on the other end where all this stuff goes. Just basically what was left on the acid brush. A couple little drops. Basically just for rust prevention. In case there's any air pockets in our glue when we put it up there. And this stuff is like never sees. You're guaranteed to get your fingers in it and track it everywhere. Now we're ready to set our roof skin up there. A little help from the roaming gnome. He's a little taller than I am. I've been told it's because I'm a hobbit. So we'll set it into place. Drop it down. Yep, step my fingers in the glue. We have that 2x4 in there because we don't want the front to set down just yet. We have to put the foam in there. And today is Saturday. Our supplier was closed and the foam I have sets up in 15 seconds. I have to work a little faster than I should. Normally you'd put this foam in there, use the 20-minute foam, you put it in there, set the roof up there, and be done. Right now, I basically have to lay a bead, pull that board out, set the roof down, because it's going to expand and adhere in about 15 to 20 seconds. There we go. Now the other supports I can get to once the roof skin is on. That front piece I couldn't because the foam was further up underneath. So it'll work just fine for the other supports. I just basically squeeze it up there and it'll expand in where it belongs. That's what it's for.
That's where it goes.
That front piece, not so much. But I made it work. That's the disadvantage to working on the weekends. So now we can clamp our roof skin up and we'll have a welding gnome weld it all up for us. Or the welding hobbit. Somebody's going to weld it.
They're covered in industrial strength Loctite.
We'll tighten up the bolts to hold the roof skin down. Ah, who needs welds? Send it to paint. So we have our used roof skin glued up there and foamed up there, I guess you'd say. Now I'm going to weld it all up. And when I'm done welding, I'm going to turn it over to the painting gnomes. They'll prime it, I'll seam seal it, and then they're going to paint the roof. We're going to paint the roof before the rest of the truck because, well, it's way up there. And it's just easier. You don't have to worry about leaning into the side of the truck when you're trying to paint the roof, when you're painting the side. So we'll paint the roof first, then we'll paint the side. It's just a little less stress because it is kind of a big job. So we'll break it up into two different parts. Those little channels that I took out of the top along the rails, make it nice and easy to just tape it off there, and you'll never see any tape lines. So make everyone's life a little easier, we'll do it that way. So, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.